Hey there, everybody. My name is George. I'm the founder here at Extension Ecom, and today we're going to be walking through some PPC specific things, including campaign types, match types, keywordination selection, and PPC strategy. So let's jump into it. So let's start off with campaign types. So the first is going to be sponsored products, and this appears in the search results and feels organic, which results in strong ROAS. So here you can see two different options. You have BedSure on the left, and you have KSIIA on the right. With BedSure, you can see that there's no sponsor tag. With KSIIA, you can see that there is a small sponsor tag. This is the only difference in a sponsored placement and an organic placement, which is why these perform the best. It's because people just think that they're organic, or they just zone out the sponsor tag and they go ahead and click and interact with it as if it was just a normal placement. Now, as we move through the other ad solutions, such as sponsored brands, we are going to expect lower return than sponsored products, but these ad solutions help you in different ways. So sponsored brands will help you build stronger brand recognition through lifestyle images, taglines, your logo. You can also display up to 3 products, and here we can see BedSure doing just that. You can see a dog laying on a dog bed enjoying it. You can see BedSure Get Cozy, big on comfort, big on love, and you can see 3 different products here. And what this is allowing BedSure to do is it's allowing them to put up a billboard where it's very clearly an ad, but as people see this more and more times and they get more and more impressions, they will remember BedSure specifically. Versus if you go back to the sponsored products, you're never going to remember KSIIA. This doesn't really do anything to build up their brand recognition. Next one we're going to have is going to be sponsored brands video. Now this is going to have the strongest click-through rate of any ad solution because you have a search results page, which is all still images. And then all of a sudden you get motion and movement, and that's going to attract the eye and it's going to get a lot of clicks. Now this is great once more for building brand recognition. People are going to remember Earth Animal if they're seeing their sponsored brands, then seeing their sponsored brands video, and they're constantly receiving these ads from them as they're in the dog treat space. However, they're not likely going to remember them if they're only seeing sponsored products. Next up, you're going to have sponsor display, which helps you capture shoppers that aren't finding you in the search results page. So this can go on Amazon, off Amazon. You can target shoppers on a specific detail page or within a specific category, or you can target shoppers who've historically been shopping in those niches. And lastly, we're gonna have streaming TV. This is the highest in the funnel of Amazon's ad solution offering. And here you can see an ad on twitch.tv. These also appear on Amazon Prime and other video placements. And these are typically non-clickable, non-skippable, traditional 15 to 30 second ads. And the whole goal here, again, is to build brand recognition and drive an increase to non-ad attributed branded search. Most of the time, these are very expensive, $20,000, $25,000 per month plus ad solutions, where it only really makes sense if you're a market leader or if you're doing 8 figures. So for today, we're gonna focus on sponsored products, brands video, and sponsored display, and how we can maximize them.
Hey there, everybody. I just wanted to jump in real quick and let you all know that we actually do this all day, every day as an agency. We have over 40 active clients that have generated over $100 million in the trailing 12 months on Amazon. And if you want our support scaling your Amazon business, feel free to click the link in the description below, go over to our website and book a call there. I look forward to chatting with you. And with that being said, let's jump back into the video.
So we're gonna have our match types broken up into search advertising and display advertising. So when it comes to search advertising, you're gonna have auto, exact, phrase, broad, and product audience targeting. PAT, which is just ASIN targeting. So when it comes to autos, you have an algorithmic targeting going after close match, loose match, substitutes, and complements. It's pretty straightforward. Close match is going to be anything closely related to your product. Loose match is anything loosely related to your product. Substitutes is going to be essentially like, hey, here is a premium one and you're looking at cheap ones, or here is a cheap one and you're looking at premium ones. And compliments is the age old, you put the hot dog buns next to the ketchup, next to the mustard, next to the relish, because people need to buy all of those together because they complement one another. So some keys to success within auto campaigns are to keep your CPC low. When you have strong performing auto campaigns and you jack up the CPC, typically Amazon just pushes you very broadly and the performance drops quickly. Rather than increasing CPC, you should really look to launch a high volume of auto campaigns. So you want to have, your full catalog in one, ASIN parentages in their own. You want to have child ASINs in their own. You want to double, triple launch these campaigns. You might have 3 that have your full catalog. You might have 3 for your top selling parentage. And then you might have 1 per child ASIN within that parentage, and you might triple launch those as well. And through this, you're going to get a super low CPC while still capturing as many shoppers as possible. Now, people do get concerned about relevancy, but keep in mind, Amazon's algorithm's job is to put you in relevant places. Typically, when you search, you don't see, coffee appearing on pet beds. That's because the algorithm is pushing it towards coffee-related things. So don't worry too much about the relevancy. Amazon's algorithm will do that for you. Your job is to just launch them in a manner that makes sense and to launch them at a low CPC. Next up is going to be exact match. So within exact match, you're going to have a search term, and that search term will match keywords exactly with or without a plural. So you could have pet beds versus pet bed, and those would both appear on an exact match for pet bed. Now, the value in exact match is you can focus on specific terms that generate profitable sales, and you can maximize them. The second thing is you can push to increase rank on a specific term. Let's say you have identified a term that you're on page 2. You want to get to page 1. You can put that in an exact match and add a ton of budget behind it. What that's going to do is it's going to add sales velocity to that keyword, and it's going to help you improve your rank because rank is most closely tied to sales velocity. As your product sells more and more, it signals to the algorithm your product's in demand, which will then result in your rank improving. You end up spending more in the short term to make more in the long term, but that doesn't happen overnight. Next up is going to be phrase match, and you're going to use search terms, and those search terms will include the keyword phrase. So going back to pet bed, it could be large pet bed, it could be small pet bed, it could be blue pet bed, it could be pet bed for dog, right? So it will be anything with the phrase pet bed within it. This is currently a top performing match type because it's kind of the in between from broad to exact, where you can go after specific terms, but you can also capture all the weird variations that humans will inevitably search that you just can't identify, and you just can't appear on all of them through an exact match. So you should use this to scale your spend profitably and capture all of the low hanging fruit. So next up is going to be broad match, and this is going to include search terms that are broadly related to the keyword phrase. This is currently one of the worst performers. So you want to test it at a low CPC and a low test budget and ramp it up if it's performing well. And you need to stay on top of your negations. Amazon will push you pretty broadly, and it might put you on things that don't make sense. So make sure you're constantly negating this and make sure you are having strong bid control in order to be successful on broad. Lastly, we have PAT. PAT just stands for product audience targeting. It's really just ASIN targeting. You are selecting specific ASINs that you want to appear on. Or here's one that a lot of people don't know is that ASIN targeting does appear in the search results page as well. So if the ASIN you're targeting appears in the search results organically, you are eligible to appear in those search results organically as well. So you can appear in the search results or on the detail page, depending on the situation. So this is going to be used in exact or expanded, and expanded typically performs poorly, similar to broad. Amazon's just going to push you onto anything and everything, whatever it thinks could potentially convert on. And remember, Amazon's ad console's job is to spend money. That's how they make money. So when you give Amazon the room to spend, it's probably going to spend. So target ASINs you have a competitive advantage over, better ratings, reviews, lower price. And if you target yourself, because you can also target yourself for defensive purposes or cross-selling and upselling purposes, just double check your sales to make sure that organic sales are going up. Otherwise, you might just be cannibalizing your organic sales, spending money to make the same amount of sales that you would have. Okay, so next up, we're going to have display advertising. So within display advertising, it breaks into two separate things, audiences and contextual. Now within audiences, you are essentially going after audiences based on historic shopping behaviors, and that breaks up into remarketing versus in-market, lifestyle, and interest audiences. Now for remarketing, you're going to retarget people who took a specific action. They clicked and didn't buy. They clicked a competitor and didn't buy. They bought from you previously. And versus in-market, lifestyle, and interest audiences, these are shoppers who have behaved historically in a certain way. They have been in this market in the past 30 days. They have historically had a lifestyle that purchases products that you sell. For lifestyle, it's going to be shoppers who are purchasing products consistently over the course of their lifetime that are similar to what you sell. And interest is very similar to lifestyle. It's just a different look back. So lifestyle, I believe, is infinite. Interest is 365. So what you want to do with audiences is you for sure want to leverage purchases remarketing for all CPG brands. This is retargeting anybody who previously bought from you. You want to drive LTV up. You also want to leverage remarketing to people who clicked and didn't buy. If you sell a high average order value product, thinking about, $200, $500, $1,000 products where it takes time to make that purchase, right? If you're buying a $14.99 consumable, probably just going to log into Amazon, click one, buy it, taste it. If it's good, you'll keep buying. If you don't like it, you'll just buy a different one, right? If you're buying a $1,000 product, you're probably going to sit there, you're going to do research, you're going to view all the competitors, you're going to look on Google at reviews, you're going to go through everything in the images. It's going to take you a week to make that decision. So if it's going to take somebody 5 to 7 days to make a decision, we need to keep reminding them who we are, and we need to drive them back to our detail page so that when they're ready to buy, they buy from us. You really should avoid in-market, lifestyle, and interest audiences, just not a great performer. And then avoid VCPM. Typically VCPM, it's viewable cost per milli, meaning it's just going to go based on viewable impressions. Normally impression-based attribution models on Amazon just cannibalize organic sales. You spend more money, the ACoS looks beautiful, but your total sales don't go up and your tacos gets worse and you end up just less profitable despite the ad solution looking very profitable. Now, when it comes to contextual targeting, you can target shoppers that are currently where you want them to be. So you can go after specific ASINs, you can go after specific categories, and you can also target people contextually that are on similar to advertised products. Now, this will typically have stronger performance than audiences, and that's because these people are actively within your market looking at a specific product, and they're closer to making a purchase decision than any of the other shoppers who just historically have behaved a certain way. So what you want to do here is you want to upgrade all of your SP ASIN targets to SD ASIN targets so that you can maximize spend within ASIN targeting. You also want to target your subcategory and add in refinements to give yourself a competitive advantage there. Hey, we want to target the category for anybody who's a more expensive product than us. Hey, we want to target the category for anybody with worse ratings and reviews than us. And again, avoid DCPM. It's going to help cannibalize your sales and make your life miserable. All right, let's talk about keyword and ASIN selection. So now we know what campaigns to launch on. We know what the different match types are. We need to now know how to select targets. So when it comes to keyword selection, it's going to break down into branded or non-branded. And within branded, it's going to break into purchase or consideration. So to protect your brand, you want to go after your branded keywords, but you need to avoid overspend. So brand spend should really not be greater than 10% of total spend. You're probably just cannibalizing your own organic sales. And for non-branded terms, we want to break these down into purchase terms, which are people looking to buy your exact product today, versus consideration terms where these shoppers might consider buying your product, but maybe they're not ready to make a purchase right now. Now, a great example of that, going back to the pet bed, is if you have a niche type of pet bed, right? You could target pet bed, and those shoppers might be interested in your pet bed, but they might be interested in others, right? That could be a great example, could be a small pet bed, right? Well, you could go after generally pet bed, and a percentage of the people that search pet bed will want a small pet bed, but a percentage of them will want a large pet bed. So it's going to perform worse just because the intent behind the shopper is broader. Now, if you had that same small pet bed, and rather than targeting pet bed, you targeted small pet bed, the intent behind the shopper is significantly higher. Those people specifically want a small pet bed, and you specifically sell a small pet bed. So it is highly likely that they will buy your product if they click your product, if you have a good detail page, if you have good ratings and reviews and a good price point. Okay, now that we've gone through keyword selection, let's talk about ASIN selection. So again, you can do brand, you can target your own ASINs, and this can help you defend your product detail page. What I mean by that is you'll cover up the ads from your competitors, or you can cross-sell, right? You could say, hey, this is our cheaper version, or hey, this version goes well with that version, or whatever. And you can cross-sell across product lines. And again, make sure you track your organic sales if you are doing this strategy to make sure you're actually driving organic growth and you're not just cannibalizing organic sales. Next up is going to be non-branded. So we've already talked about this. You need to identify competitor ASINs who have, worse ratings and reviews, who are at a higher price point. Maybe their detail page looks terrible. You want to start there and you want to launch on those. You want to get data in, but also don't sleep on going after the top sellers. That could really help you scale spend if you're able to compete. So you should still test those out, but you always want to start in the lower funnel. So start with the people you have an advantage over first, and then graduate into the upper funnel once you get the cash flow and the sales growth from the lower. So general PPC strategy here, we're going to talk about funnel selection. So start in the lower funnel. So again, start in loyalty and purchase. Don't overspend in loyalty, 10-ish%. That should include branded keywords, targeting your own ASINs, purchases through marketing if you're a CPG brand. And then you should really focus on the purchase portion of the funnel before consideration and start on sponsored products. Now, once you've identified and maximized spend across all purchase keywords and all purchase ASINs, then you want to start focusing on scaling into consideration. Now, this could be immediately for products that have very low search volume in the market. And this could take over 100,000 per month in spend before you graduate to consideration if you have an extremely broad market with extremely high search volume. So what you want to do when it's time to transition is you want to graduate any top performing keywords into sponsored brands and sponsored brands video. ROAS is going to be lower, but they're going to help start building your brand recognition. And as people see you 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 15, 20 times, they're going to remember you. Think about Apple. You have Apple constantly top of mind because there's billboards everywhere. They're doing ads. They're doing a lot to keep you, fresh, right? They're pushing a high frequency of impressions. That's the goal with these brand building ads. So you can get some profitable sales from them. It will perform worse, but you will also build up brand recognition. In turn, in 30, 60, 90 days, they're going to search specifically for you. Or if they're back in market looking for your products again, they'll say, oh yeah, I do remember that brand. And they'll start to check you out even further, which further increases the likelihood of conversion. Now with your ASIN targets, you also want to graduate those from sponsored products to sponsored display. And then within your keyword selection itself, you can start to go broader and go after some of those consideration terms, right? Great example was going from small pet bed to pet bed. Now pet bed will have a larger search volume. However, a percentage of those customers are disqualified, right? They don't want a small pet bed. They only want a large, they only want a medium, whatever. They don't want yours. However, a percentage are qualified and you want to capture that small percentage share for yourself. And then last thing you want to do once you've got all of that moving is you want to implement a ranking strategy. So identify 3 to 5 keywords that you could rank on. Right now, you're top 50 on those. And what you want to do is you want to add them in as single keyword campaigns. And you want to go after those to try and influence the algorithm to improve your rank. Now, the ACoS here shouldn't be the number one KPI. You should really be evaluating, are we improving rank? And the way you improve rank is by increasing sales velocity. So by targeting those specific keywords and ramping up spend there, you get more sales velocity on those specific keywords. And if you exceed your competitor's sales velocity, Amazon will start to prioritize you. So that's the whole goal there. So that's all for today. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. As you know, this is YouTube. And outside of that, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.